She called me a snitch, and I did not appreciate that because I am a lot of things, but a snitch is not one of them. To make a long story short, I lost a really, really good friend of mine, a person that I thought was going to be a lifelong friend over a total misunderstanding. But we will get into it. First, I have to let you know who I am. I am D Fits, the designer, and you have just logged on to the Blue Shrimp Moscato podcast. Thank you so very much for logging on. I really, really appreciate it. I've been on a tiny hiatus. It's been a month, but I wanted to launch my new website, www.defensethedesigner. And yes, it's a shameless plug, but it's a plug nonetheless. And y'all gotta check out this website because me and my team, we have put in the work on making this thing go. I have met with coaches. I've been on my husband, my production, my arts, my photos, everything, my content, email, everything, my CRM system, everything is on point, and I am totally excited. And also, I wanted to plug that my Deposits Over Drama shirts are now available on my website. So make sure you log on, www.defitsthedesigner.com. It's some really dope stuff. And if you really are trying to make sure that your brand is on point, make sure that you mess with me, okay? Make sure that you go on there, schedule some time to talk to me, and let's see what we can do about getting you on track with your brand. All right, so I wanted to touch on that, but yeah, so like I said, I kind of jumped the gun and put that part before like my other little intro that I do. And as you can see, well, some people can see, I am filming my podcast today. This is something new. I did not want to film it, but I kind of felt like I should. For some reason, there was an actual little demand for it. There was like, why you don't film it? Why you don't film it? Because I don't feel like getting dressed up and getting my face made up and everything, and my little hair, getting that laid down so that I could do a podcast. But I'm here nonetheless, and I know you're wondering, well, what is the Blue Shrimp Moscato all about? Don't look too deep into that. It is my favorite color, my favorite food, and my favorite wine. So I just put all those together and made a name for this podcast. Anyway, I tell stories. I tell stories about my life. I have other people come up here and tell stories. And so I'm just going to hop right into today's story because it is, for lack of a better word, it is interesting. It is interesting. Okay, so this takes place in that summer, the summer right before I was about to go into high school, my ninth grade year, my freshman year of high school. And I had made it to the Junior Olympics, the National Junior Olympics that year. And so I was doing a lot of training. My time was spent on the track most of the summer, but part of the summer I had a little downtime between meets, and a family moved in. Now, in my other episodes, I have mentioned that I am from a military family. So at this time in my life, I was living on base. And whenever a new family moved in, everybody kind of welcomed them with open arms because none of us had family that lived nearby. And so when another person moved in, we understood the struggle of not having a village or a support system. So everybody would kind of just embrace whoever it was that was moving in. Anyway, so this family moved in, and it was a similar family structure to the one that I had, which was, mom, dad, daughters. And my dad had 3 daughters. This particular family had 2 daughters. And me and the oldest daughter of their family was the same age. We had the same interest. And so our dads decided that it would be a good thing to get us together and see if we could be friends. And that's exactly what happened. We were friends from day one. Like, we just kind of clicked. She was a baller. She liked basketball, and of course, I'm into track. But she understood training schedules. She understood having to leave. We both like softball, so it was a good thing. We just had a lot of the same interests. We like football. We like watching basketball on TV. We just kind of we was homegirls. Like, we just kind of clicked. And so everything that we did that summer was pretty much together. We rolled together. We went to the mall together. All that stuff that girls do during that time, we did it together. So what ended up happening was we started school, and it was a really cool situation because we were going to the same school. And normally military kids, when they start school, or if they are that we always just go to different schools, so we always just don't know anybody. We always have to fight to be seen, or are at risk of being bullied or whatever. You just don't have anybody around you when you go to school. So this situation was kind of different because we had each other. We had our other friends, of course, that was on our base with us, that we had a little crew. But me and her we was tight. We was like this. We was tight. So we started school, and it was great first day. It was a good feeling because we had each other, and we didn't have to worry about having to make friends. We didn't have to worry about where we were going to sit at lunchtime. We had a similar schedule. So it was just a really good feeling to have a friend starting a new grade, and it wasn't weird. You know how maybe you don't know, because some of you might have started school and went through school with the same people, but I didn't. I just changed schools quite a bit, and so it was really cool to start my my freshman year with someone that I knew. We start about 3 days in. We noticed that the guys, the upperclassmen, they're choosing. So they're like trying to figure out which one of the freshman girls that they're going to try to holler at, which one of they're going to try to talk to. And she had a interest. There was a guy. I didn't have any. I don't think anybody was looking at me. There was this guy. It was a senior. He was a super senior. And he ended up, trying to hit on my friend. And probably, I want to say about 2 weeks later, they was together. Now, just a little backstory on this guy. He was a super senior. That means that this was his second time trying at this senior thing. He was in the 12th grade for the second time. He was known because he had a girlfriend that was super popular. She was not a super senior, but this was her senior year. So I guess it was like when she was a sophomore, he was a junior. When she was a junior, he was a senior. And so they had been together since she was a freshman. So going into her senior year, he's back for another senior year. But this particular year, they had broken up. So they're not together anymore. But they had history. They had a lot of history. So when he started talking to my friend, it was a little scandalous because everyone knew him for talking to this girl. Now, we're freshmen. We don't have the backstory to any of that until later, but I want to go ahead and let y'all know that. So it kind of gives you a little context to where I'm going with this story. Okay, so not too long after that, she starts experiencing a little hate from the upperclassmen girls, the senior girls, the friends of the girl that her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, if that makes sense. So her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend's friends and all her little crew, they're starting to like, take little jabs at her. So next thing that happens is rumors start spreading. And these aren't just any rumors. There's some truth to the stuff that is coming out. So she's talking to me, and she's a little discouraged. She doesn't really appreciate the stuff that is going out. So she's like, I don't like this. They're saying they're spreading things about me, and it was like some really personal things that were being spread about her. And she's like, I don't understand how anybody knows this. Somebody is telling my business, and I don't like this. And so I'm like, girl, it's because you're with such and such, and people are just me. So I'm just trying to tell her, let it run off your shoulders. Focus on your relationship. Focus on school. Let's just do our thing. Like, focus on balling. I mean, it just don't even worry about those girls. They just being haters. So I'm telling her this, right? So she's just steady like, I just can't shake it. Like, how are these girls finding this stuff out? They're spreading this stuff about me. Now, mind you, we are all of 14 years old. Actually, I think I still was 13 years old at the time because I started school a year early. So I was 13, she was 14, and she dating a whole 19-year-old. And she's in this drama, and I'm 13, and I'm trying to coach her through this, and it's just not working out. I'm not telling her the right things to do or whatever, but I'm just like telling her what I think she should know and what I've seen on TV, but I don't know exactly what to tell her. I did not know just to tell her to leave him alone because you're going through all of this because of him, or ask him how all this information is getting out. But she's not asking him, she's asking me. And so I'm trying to tell her, like, look, it's the haters. Don't worry about the haters. And I guess there was some relevance to what I was trying to tell her, but nah, it is what it is. So another week goes by, and she's just like, look, this is just too much. These people are really talking about me bad, and I don't appreciate that. And I was like, you shouldn't appreciate that. Like, what's up? You want to run up? You want to go confront them? And so, I'm immediately thinking like, okay, well, we can handle this right now. We can go fight them or whatever. She's like, no, I don't want to fight them. I just want to know who's telling my business. So she's telling me all the time, like, I just want to know who's telling my business, who's telling my business. Mind you, this is my best friend at the time. So I'm like, I want to protect her. I hate to see her like this, and it's really getting to her. But she is just steady telling me, like, who do you think is telling my stuff like this? Because, a lot of this is true. And I'm like, I don't know. Now, we did have a third girl that was rolling with us, but she wasn't that tight. And my friend wasn't telling her a lot of the stuff that was out there. She told me a lot of the stuff that was out there. But I don't know how they found out. And I can only assume that she was telling her boyfriend this stuff too. So she finally says, I know what to do. I know how I'm going to find out who's telling my business. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I didn't even, like, in my mind, I'm not even thinking, like, I know she's not thinking that I'm telling her stuff, because I don't know those girls to even go and tell them. So I know she don't think it's me. Okay, so a few days go by. Things actually kind of die down. And so she comes and she says, I have something to tell you. And I'm like, what? Because the way that she said it was just kind of like concerning. So I'm like, what's going on, girl? What's the tea? So she says, you can't tell anybody. And I was like, I'm not going to tell anybody. What's up? What's going on? So she's like, girl, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, what? By this time, we are like in school only 2 months. We are 2 months. She's 14 years old. You're pregnant? What? Girl, what? So she's like, please don't tell anybody. I was like, I'm not going to tell anybody. I promise I'm not going to tell anybody. And so she's like, for real, DJ. And that's what she would call me. She called me DJ. She's like, for real, DJ, please don't say anything. And I said, I'm not going to say anything. I promise you I'm not going to say anything. I cannot believe this. And so she was just like, I'll let people know when I want them to know. And I was like, well, have you told old boy? And she's like, no, I haven't told him. I'm not ready for him to know yet. I just, I have to figure out how to process this. And I was like, well, what about your mom? What about your dad? Have you told them? And she's like, no, I haven't told them. But, I just need to process it. I told you, and you're the only person that I told. And so, I just got to figure out what I'm going to do. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to say anything. So a couple days passed by and she hasn't said anything, and I didn't bring it back up. And, I'm just like, it's like boiling over. I think I just want to tell somebody. I didn't want to tell my mom because I knew from a past experience that if I told my mom, then it might get back to her mom. So I didn't say anything to my mom. And I tell my mom everything, and I did not tell her. Look, if you tell me, you might as well tell my mom too. That's a sidebar, but I tell my mom everything. But I did not tell her this because I did not want her to go back and tell this girl mama that she was pregnant. So I just didn't want that. She was going to tell her people and who she wanted to tell on her own time, and I was supporting that. But that thing was eating at me. I mean, it was eating at me, and I was trying so hard not to tell anybody. So anyway, we had this girl in our little group. It was kind of like we was like the Three Musketeers or whatever, but she just was like the third one. She was like a new friend. She wasn't as cool as me and the other girl. So this girl, she had a baby already, and I think she was like 14, 15 years old, and she had already had a baby. And I felt like, in my thinking at the time, in my 13-year-old mind, I was thinking that my friend was going to tell this girl anyway. And I'm like, well, shoot, she didn't have a baby, and she's probably going to need somebody to help her through this process. And she a good friend of ours. So I'm going to go ahead and tell her. I know, it's so bad. I just was like, it was boiling over, and I just really needed to tell somebody. I don't know why, but I just really needed to tell somebody. So I was like, one day, our friend, she missed lunch, and so it was just me and then the other girl that already had a baby. And so I was like, look, girl, I got something to tell you, but you can't say anything until she tell you. You got to act surprised when she tell you. So she's like, girl, wait. So I'm like, tell me why. What's the name pregnant? And she's like, wait. She do look kind of pregnant. And I was like, yes, girl. She is pregnant about old boy. And she was like, wait. Oh, my gosh. And I was like, don't say nothing. Do not say nothing. And when she bring it up to you, act surprised. So she was like, okay, I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna be cool about it. So I said, all right, cool. So a couple days go by. My friend ain't saying nothing to the other girl. Now we into like a week go by. My friend, she still ain't saying nothing to the other girl. Now I ain't heard no rumors of her being pregnant or whatever, so my friend was holding it down. She ain't said nothing. So then I want to say like maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, after I told her, we at the table together, everything is going on, it's starting to get a little cool outside. So my friend, she started wearing the little starter jacket, the little windbreaker. And so because of where she was from, like they wore the jacket a little differently, but it kind of looked like she was kind of getting big in the front. And so my friend, she was like, is she showing? And the other girl, this is the other girl that I told, she was like, is she showing? And I was like, I don't know. It just could be how she wearing her jacket. She was like, I don't know. I think she's showing. And she's supposed to be going out there for basketball tryouts. So I don't know if she should be doing that. I think I should say something to her. And I'm like, no, you should not say nothing to her because you don't know. Like, in all actuality, you don't know. So you don't get to say nothing. So she's like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I have a responsibility to say something. I was like, you don't have no responsibility. You don't even supposed to know. Don't do this. Don't say nothing. She's like, okay, cool. I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying nothing. So we sit down at the table. We eating. She's eating, but she's eating a lot. And then I had like something that I got from like this Pizza Hut stand that we had in our school. And she asked me for something off my plate. So when she did that, it triggered my other friend. So my other friend is looking at her like, no, she eating a lot. She doing this. No. She was like, so you wasn't going to tell me. So this is what my other friend, she stops. She like beats on the table with her fist. And she like dramatic way. She's like, bam. So you wasn't going to tell me. And she's like, both of us looking at her like, what? So my other friend like, tell you what? And she was like, you not gonna tell me that you pregnant? How are you not gonna tell me that you pregnant? And so she's being loud as hell. I mean, she was being so loud. So my other friend, she looking at her like, what? And she was like, you wasn't gonna tell me that you was pregnant? And I'm like, I'm looking like, oh gosh, I cannot believe this is happening right now. So my other friend, who is being accused of being pregnant, she is stunned, and she looks at me, and she looks back at my friend, and then she looks at me, and she was like, no. And she's looking at me when she's saying this. She's like, no, I am not pregnant. And I'm looking like, oh my God, what is going on here? What is happening? She was like, and so my other friend was like, what? Because she told me that you was pregnant and I'm concerned about you. And so my other friend is like, no, I am not pregnant. Matter of fact, my mama told me to tell somebody something and see how it got back to me, and tell somebody one thing and see if it got back to me, and don't tell nobody else. So I told her, and she's explaining what's going on now. She's explaining what's going on to my other friend while looking me dead in my face. So she's like, I told her that I was pregnant to see who it was telling my business, and I was trying to see if this got back to me, and I thought it wouldn't have been DJ, but it eventually got back to me. So now I know who's been telling my business, and now I know who's been spreading these rumors about me, and now I know. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, that's not true. I was like, okay, yeah, I told her, but all this other stuff about you that's going on in the going around the school, I did not say that. And so like, I'm trying to defend myself. We are like arguing at the table, because she was like, I knew you was a snitch. I knew that you was around here telling my business. You ain't no friend. You ain't no real friend. She going off on me. I mean, like, she's going off on me. I can't even get a word in, because I can't say that I did not tell this other girl that she was pregnant, but there was no rumors in the school of her pregnancy. Nobody went out and was telling people that she was pregnant. She was like, I just told you to see who was the one spreading my business. And so I'm like, I did not tell all these people about your other issues, about all your other stuff. I did not do that. And so she was like, yes, that was you. I know that was you. I cannot believe that you would do that to me. I thought you were my friend. I only got one friend in school, and that's my man, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you might want to check your man to see if it was your man telling your business. She was like, no, it was you. I know it was you. You jealous that I got a man. I mean, she like going in on me, and I am in my feelings. I want to punch this girl in her face at this point. Man, look, we didn't have to get pulled apart or anything, but that was the last day we spoke. And I was so hurt, because I knew that I was wrong for telling our third friend that she was pregnant after she asked me not to say anything. But for her to conclude that I was the one spreading all of her business throughout the school, it just didn't make sense to me. It just did not make sense to me. It was me and her. I did not know those girls. She never seen me hanging out with those girls. They're upperclassmen. I did not know them. For me to go and just go up to them and say, hey, she's going through this, she's going through that. Now, it made perfect sense that her man could have been pillow talking with his ex-girlfriend, telling her all the business that my friend had been telling him. That made sense. But it just didn't make sense to her. She just looked at this guy as just this great person and blah, blah, blah. So, turns out we did not mend that relationship. We never came back together. I actually started cross country season. I started back into track and preseason training, and I just got a whole new circle of friends after that. Like I just got a whole new circle of friends, and it is what it is. What it is. Like I just never, we never came back to try to fix that friendship. And I know after that, I heard that her father had died of a heart attack. He was out running, I think exercising or something, and he ended up passing from a heart attack, and she moved away. So, I don't know what happened to her. I don't know whatever happened to what could have happened if I said I apologize, but I just didn't want to be friends with somebody that just would think so little of me. Now, mind you, I know I was wrong for telling our other friend, but I she was calling me all kind of names and calling me all kind of snitches and bitches and all this and snakes, and she just was calling me all kind of names and just put too much stock into this boyfriend that she had that was 19 years old, hitting on a 14-year-old. Mind you, I'm 13, so I don't even know to even tell her to piece these things together for her. But the 30-something me looks at this situation like, girl, you were stupid and you lost a good friend. We could have been good friends. So I always tell you guys something that I've learned from my situations. What I took away from this is that from that day on, if you told me anything, I was not going to tell anybody else other than my mother. And my mother that's not going to say anything. She might tell my dad, but they don't know y'all. So they're not going to they're not going to tell anybody, but it just means a lot to me, and there's some things that I don't even tell my mom. If you're telling me this in confidence, I'm not gonna go out and I'm not gonna spread your business. I never wanted to be looked at like when she looked at me and it was hurt in her eyes, because as military kids, it's hard to develop relationships and it's really hard to trust people. And so I know she trusted me. And I could see in her eyes that I broke her trust. No matter what she said, I broke her trust. And I never want anybody to look at me that way ever again. So from that, I just became this person that if you tell me your business, if you tell me your secrets, it's safe with me. I'm not going to tell anybody. I don't run that way. I don't want to run that way. If you're out just telling everybody, talking about it, then, I guess that's free reign. We can just talk about it. But if you tell me, like, look, I don't want you to tell anybody, this is between me and you, then that's what it is. And that's how I am with my clients, too. They tell me a lot of things, and I don't tell anybody. I don't tell them their business plans. I don't tell none of that. Because of that situation there, I know to keep my mouth shut. And so I encourage you that if you are one of those people that like to go run tell that, when somebody tells you something, don't do it. Don't do it. It hurts. It does hurt. And I saw the hurt in her eyes. And it actually happened to me one time. Somebody went and told my business after I asked them not to. And, that kind of stuff hurts. It hurts when someone breaks your trust. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Blue Shrimp Moscato. Make sure you check me out online, www.dfitsthedesigner.com. And remember, Jesus loves you, and I do too. Bye.